I stopped this time before we got to air, so
No,
I'm doing better. I think I did pretty good this time. I'm doing better. Pat myself on the back.
but I mean, hey, it's a nice little mix, nice little beat to it.
It
So,
is nice little
right,
groove. I like it.
right. So even our guests, while you're waiting on us to come in, we want you to also come on and
Yeah, get your
join.
groove on. I
Right.
was doing a robot today.
Oh Lord, have mercy.
Yes.
All right. Look, you done made me cry. Like,
Oh, sorry. Well, what is
so
it today?
wait, if you are in Illinois, right? This weather is just unforgiving.
It is.
Right? It's so
Oh my
unforgiving.
goodness, it really is.
Right. For all our followers that are outside of Illinois this week in Illinois, it's not that bad, really. Like, because it could be worse. But going from the warm weather and start to head into the colder weather, your body.
No, it's not start to head into the cold weather, Dion. It's we got teleported directly into. We went from 80 degrees to 14. That's
Yeah,
what
like
we. Yeah,
boom, like boom, just like
yeah,
that. And so, and so, so it takes a little bit for your body to kind of like regulate to it, you know.
yeah.
So yeah. So today, like is the day we're gonna talk about the home inspection and the appraisal
Yes.
during the winter, right? Because I had a home inspection last week. Oh,
Uh-oh.
your mighty realtor was like, while y'all outside, I'll sit in my car for a minute.
Right. Yeah, I bet you will sit in your nice warm car.
Yeah, I was like, I'll sit in my car. Like, and my client said, do I need to walk with him? And I'm like, yeah, you do. You do. So
Yes.
I normally do participate in the home inspection, really for the realtor being with the home inspector and your client. It's just really there. I'm there for support. So
Hmm.
last week I had to support from the car. So only until we got inside.
Nothing
But
wrong with that. It was cold enough.
it was cold enough.
Weather
So
warranted it. So yes,
I
definitely.
appreciate I appreciate you all understanding. Right? So my name is Dion Branch, and I am with Allure Dream Homes, brokered by EXP Realty, and I'm here with my lender partner. And what's your name?
The one and only Lisa J, House Money Mama, part of Nexa Mortgage, where brokers are better.
Yes, yes, yes. So, like we said, we want to talk a little bit about the difference between home inspection and appraisal during the wintertime compared to during the summertime. It has to be a little different, and so a lot of that is because of like the weather, the snow, the ice. Some of
Yeah.
those things can be obstacles to the home inspector being able to do the task that he might normally do during the summertime.
Right. Yep.
Mhm.
Just
So
the weather being colder in general can make a difference.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely for sure. I know that even sometimes during the summertime, a roof can be an issue as far as why a home inspector would not get on top of the roof in order to see what the roof conditions are. During the
Hmm.
summer, they might actually get on the roof, walk it. They can actually feel if it's soft or not. But during the wintertime, yeah,
Yeah, that's a huge liability.
yeah,
If you're
Yeah.
up there and it's cold or snowy or anything like that, then I would think that would be a huge liability for this. This is my underwriter hat now.
Right.
Yeah, I would think that'd be a huge liability for somebody that could possibly, have an accident. They could be up there just doing their job and slip and fall off the roof.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's the, a lot of times now, some of the home inspectors, when you're inquiring as far as if they're going to get on the roof or not,
Mhm.
you might want to ask that question in advance so that you'll have a full understanding. But sometimes I've lately seen some home inspectors might use a drone, right?
Yeah.
Where they're able to kind of go up, at least it's not them, but they're able to use the cameras from the drones and be able to actually
Yeah.
see the roof and stuff.
And from that footage, you can actually zoom in pretty well. You
Mm-hmm.
you can see it close enough, like as if you was actually right there in front of it. So, to I think a trained and experienced eye, then they would still be able to tell pretty well, what the condition of the tiles, on the roof, the material and everything is. Probably still not exactly the same as a touch and feel of it, but I would think they'd probably be able to get pretty close.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's always a good to for you to inquire, especially during the winter time. Like, what is my inspection going to cover, so that you'll know in advance. Right.
Mhm. So what would be some things, because that kind of sounds more like maybe more on the buyer side,
Mm-hmm.
like the side that I work on. But
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what would it be like for somebody who's on the selling side, like if they wanted to list their house, what would be the impact for them?
Well, I don't know if it's really an impact or not because I think even doing the appraisal, not sorry, doing the home inspection time, this is a negotiation with the seller and the buyer,
Yeah,
and so uh, you know a lot of times the seller will inquire. So if when you're listing as a buyer, you're listing all the items that you want to be repaired, and
okay,
so as a seller, your attorney, the person you're working with, is they will ask for sometimes photos of those different items so that you can actually one really see what the issue is,
yeah,
and then determine, well, is a whole new roof required, or is a whole new roof required, or can you give a credit, or it helps you during this time. You can work on how you're going to negotiate, really,
hmm,
right?
okay,
So, so I think for sellers, it's you're really not affected too much in the home inspection because um maybe it might be easier during the winter time for you to sell your home because the inspector find, can kind of maybe find
that's
less
possible. That
less
is possible.
right, less items, right? I'm not
Mhm.
saying that it might, you want to hide some things and maybe do it during the wintertime, but they might, they're a little limited on the other things that they can find. Um, and stuff. And I think you should always prepare your home prior to the inspection. As an agent working with a seller, we might decide to do a inspection prior to you actually selling your home. So then that way you're preparing. So during the prep time,
No
as
surprises. Yeah.
hmm right, there's less surprises that you'll have, and so you wouldn't worry about the inspection as much, or even the appraisal, because we've either had someone come walk through the property and let us know what things we need to address.
Okay. All right. That sounds good.
Yeah.
So, anything else in regards to the home inspection specifically?
Well, during the inspection, I think the inspector during the wintertime, they're going to be looking at probably a little some different things. One thing is during the inspection, you can't check during the wintertime. You can't check your central air conditioning.
Mm.
Right. So the only thing that you can check is the heating. And it's it's vice versa, during the winter as well. So during the
In
summertime,
the
they don't
summer.
check the heating. During the wintertime, though, they don't check the central air.
Okay.
Typically, they won't check it if it's less than like 30, I think 30 degrees outside around that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
typically they would say, no, we're not going to check the central air. And, during that time, you have to, work with your attorney to, maybe determine if there's some escrow, some holdback, something like that, if you're really concerned whether the central air conditioning is actually going to work. But what I always suggest is doing the home warranty.
Okay.
hmm So during the home warranty, if we get to the summertime and we find out that the property, some items that we weren't really able to check prior to have issues, that's where the seller providing you a home warranty will help you. And sometimes maybe the seller doesn't agree, and you could still pick up the home warranty yourself,
Yeah, because
right?
how much does that cost now?
So home warranties, they're about
About
$650
six.
for a
Okay.
single family home.
Okay.
hmm And so, and that'll cover like your central air unit, and so, or your refrigerator, your stove, your furnace,
Hmm.
all those different things, some your major appliances, and make sure that you can either get it, at a discounted rate. They don't really cover it and say it's totally free,
Okay.
um, right? But they will probably give it to you at a discount.
But we like discounts. I
Right.
like discounts. I don't know
Right.
about anybody else, but I like discounts.
Yeah. And especially when something major comes up. And
Hmm.
if there's things that you find out after you kind of move into the house after the home inspection, you're always able to go back to your attorney
Yeah.
and have your attorney discuss those items with the seller, and they can have someone come in and fix it, paid by the seller, or
Okay.
give you some type of reimbursement. And so it's never done until it's really is. Right.
So that's really similar then to the appraisal because I'm not really so much involved with the home inspection part, but the home inspection and appraisal are still kind of similar. Of
hmm
course, the appraisal is required,
Yeah.
because no lender's going to put a lien on the house if they don't know its value, and what all is going on with it. Still has to meet those minimum required um, uh, uh, parameters,
hmm
for the lender.
Right.
So with the appraisals, I want to piggyback off something that you said because I had something like that happen where for the appraisal, the appraiser called out the central air. And I think
hmm
it was like maybe October, November. So I think winter had might come a little bit early that year. So the weather was cold, and we may have even had snow on the ground. This is a few years ago now, but I do remember is that we had to go to a different we had to adjust the financing a bit in order to be able to close on the loan, because essentially we had to do the same thing that you made reference to, have escrow. And when you put money in escrow, that does have an impact on the loan, because it needs to be allowable by the investor that's going to be
hmm
putting up the money for the purchase of the house. So I remember that being an issue, that we had to put some money in escrow. And if there would have been something wrong with the central air, I don't even remember if it was or not. I just know I was mad because we had to do it.
Right. And so as the lender, so you have to approve that they could put the money in the escrow,
Yes.
or is it maybe?
It was because of the fact that this was called out by the appraiser.
No, okay.
This was called out by the appraiser. So like if you have something that's in the home inspection and um no, but I take that back, because if you put something to escrow and it has to be held, that has to still be allowable by the lender for the type of financing that you have. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
And
either way.
typically, the escrow, as a seller, if you put in money in the escrow, it's agreed to on a as a period of time that it'll be
Right.
held in escrow, and then
Right.
once that time or the issue has been resolved, then that money will either come back to you or be used, but you will
Hmm.
get under you have an understanding of how your money was used, and I think you even agree on whether you want to like agree on the amount of the repairs that need to be done.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah. So you do have to have a pretty thorough inspection. Now, one of the things about the appraisers is that, they are going to spell everything out. A lot of times with home inspections, I have seen a few reports over the years, and
Mm-hmm.
they may say something like, have this inspected by
Yes.
a specialist, somebody.
Right.
You should have an HVAC person come and look at this, and whatever they tell you, that's what
Right.
it is. Appraisers will do that sometimes, but a lot of times the appraisers will tell you directly, we anticipate it'll cost this amount for you to cure this. This is what you need to do, to fix it. This is what to make it better. Whether that is for, something like air conditioning or heating or whatever that might be, they usually give you some kind of indication. Now, again, if it is something, like the inspector,
Mm-hmm.
where that's not their specialty and they
Right.
feel like they need a specialist, they will call that out as well and
Yeah,
say you need to
and
have
that's
a
what,
specialist come
and I
in.
was gonna just kind of piggyback on what you were saying. So
Okay.
I've asked inspectors that before, like, well, why are you referring them to someone else? And basically they've said, well, I'm an inspector. I have a knowledge of a HVAC system. I have a knowledge of electrical, but
Yeah.
I'm not a specialist in that area, and these require a specialist attention. It doesn't. It's just he kind of just says this can be an issue, and if
Hmm.
you want to look into it a little deeper, you should have a specialist look into it. And I
Right.
think the difference with the appraiser is because the appraiser is looking at the dollar value of a home, and so
Mhm.
that's kind of why they tie a dollar to it, right?
Well, no, because that doesn't really have anything to do with the value.
Oh, okay.
They try to give you an estimate for a cost to cure. So, like,
Oh, okay.
say you need to replace two doors, that'll cost $250. They try to give you an estimate for a cost to cure, like
Oh,
whatever it
okay.
takes to fix the problem. They try to give you an estimate for that.
So yeah, so do they but they won't say that this needs do that is this when they're saying that it needs to be repaired prior
Yeah,
prior to them
and prior to them giving being making it an as is appraisal.
okay.
So
Hmm.
it'll be subject to, up until that point, that whatever it is that they called out to be fixed or repaired, until that's done, it'll be considered a subject to appraisal, which really is kind of like an appraisal in limbo. Can't do
Okay.
much with it because it's directly telling you something wrong with the house that
Yes.
needs to be fixed.
And it needs to be fixed. And
Yes.
and then they're gonna come back out and look at it again.
Yep.
And that is actually an additional cost to the buyer, right?
So yes, it and how it is in real estate. You can negotiate almost
Hmm.
anything. So
Yes.
but you can't negotiate on your taxes. That's not gonna happen. So but almost anything else is negotiable. So yeah, they will negotiate. Like I've had people sometimes say, well, listen, we told you guys up front
Yeah.
that you should have done X, Y, and Z with the house and you didn't do it. Now they're trying to charge me an extra $200 for an appraiser to come back out and say that the stuff that we told you to fix way back then that you didn't want to fix, now
This
it's
one.
fixed. So
Yeah.
you paid the $200,
Right.
not me.
And typically, as a realtor, when I'm going through a property and we're deciding that we're going to place an offer, or even after the home inspection, sometimes the inspector might call out something that I know that is going to be flagged by the appraiser.
Yeah.
So I
Hmm.
will say in advance, hey, other agent, listing agent, co-agent, this is going to be a problem in the appraisal process. Maybe you should have your people fix it prior to the appraisal.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they agree, and sometimes they were like, oh, we'll see. I said, okay, well,
Right.
we'll see. And then when we see, you will pay for the second
Right.
appraisal. Because
Right.
I'm sorry. I don't know. This is one thing that's like a pet peeve for me.
Yeah, well, because it makes it elongates the transaction unnecessary. It's unnecessarily, I should say, and it gives you more to do than what you would normally have to do. Nobody wants to go into their home buying process. Like, you know what? Can we make this as long and hard and difficult as possible? Nobody wants to do that. We want it easy and we want it quick.
And quick.
So
Right.
when they take
Everybody
it
has
away from the
agreed.
easy and the quick, yes, we
Right.
all have a problem.
Right. Everybody has agreed. We like the house. You want to get rid of the house. Let's do this.
Right.
So what does they say? Let's do this, Johnny. You ready to tell us?
And just so you know, and this is not for you, Dion, but it's really more for the people that are listening. But I do the same thing. So you come in and during negotiation, as you're signing the contract, you say, hey, these items I'm concerned won't pass FHA inspection. You need to
Hmm.
look at them, have them done, before we send an appraiser out. And when I send out a team email, I'm putting it in writing as well. Hey, listen, low hanging wires, stairs that don't have banisters or handrails, chipped or peeling paint for a home that's built 1978 or prior. Any of these items, GFCI outlets not being updated, GFCI outlets, all of these items will be called out by an FHA appraiser.
Yeah.
So since this is an FHA loan, why don't you go ahead and fix these things now if any of these things are issues before we send out an appraiser? So they usually hear it, for our team, because of how
Hmm.
we work together, they usually hear it a couple of different times. So
Yeah.
there's really no reason why they shouldn't do it up front unless, like you said, they just choose not to.
Right.
Well, let's
And
see
as
what
a
the
listing agent, I would normally come through and walk through and say, hey, if we're targeting these buyers, this is what we need to do.
yeah.
Because a lot of times, as a listing agent, you don't want to eliminate a certain group of group
Hmm.
of buyers. We want the FHA buyers. We want a
Hmm.
VA buyer if we can. And those their requirements are a little bit more stringent than
Yeah,
a conventional buyer. And so we're deciding right up front, like who's our target audience and
mhm.
what needs to be done in order to get there. So yeah,
That makes sense. We always say prepare, prepare, prepare. So
exactly.
I think that's really pretty much it because it's not a ton of stuff that's different. And the appraisal and the inspection, the home inspection, are so similar to each other that a lot of times, what happens, they kind of cross.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
same issues for home inspections are very similar issues for appraisers.
For the
So
person. Right. And just so we can be clear, like the home inspection is really for the buyer.
right,
The appraisal is
for the lender.
for the lender. Hmm. Right. And like Lisa said, they're very similar. They're looking at the same items. And so having your home inspection done first, it helps us to identify. And
Yep,
you should always do a home inspection, no matter what. And even if it's a new build, you still should inspect.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And you'll cut down on some of the potential issues if your home inspectors already come out because they probably are going to also already know what items that an appraiser is going to be looking for. And they can probably call it out just as easily and say, hey, when this gets appraised, if you're going FHA or if whatever, then they're probably going to say that you should fix these things,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
that might be.
And I've seen it on the reports, like this is a FHA, could cause FHA issues. So
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That
yeah.
makes sense. So, before we get ready to wrap up, do we want to mention about our 21-day home buying challenge?
Yes, yes, yes. So give them the dirt, Lisa.
You want me to talk about it?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. All right, so we are already in the midst of it, but it's not too late for you to get started. We just kicked it off on this past Friday for Black Friday. That's what we're doing it for. But we still have a couple more weeks left in order for the challenge to continue. So you can still join in right now. I have some people that just did their application yesterday. They're still in the challenge. And so they're still going to move forward and get all the perks that we talked about. So just in case you don't remember what those perks are, you will be able to get an appraisal credit up to $600. Appraisals can actually, for me, usually they cost about $550, maybe between
Mm-hmm.
$650. So that means you'll basically be getting your appraisal. Most people for a single family home, you'll be getting that appraisal for free.
Free.
So that's
Okay.
one thing. The other thing that we're doing is you're going to get a half price home inspection. So if a home inspection is 600, for you it'll be 300. Or if it's 500, for you it's 250, because we're going to partner with you to make sure that your costs are lower for this 21-day home buying challenge. Another thing that we're going to do, a free credit evaluation. So when you come in, we do your credit pull, and you're like, I think my credit should be a little bit higher. Lisa, what can I do to make things better? I'm glad you asked, because I got some tasks for you to do to bring up your credit score. We're going to evaluate everything and tell you the things where you're doing well, where you're doing not so well, and any things that you may need to change if you need to change anything. So it's always good to have that set of eyes that have that experience. And then the last thing that we're also going to do is a housewarming. We're going to sponsor a housewarming gathering for you if you close within 60 days of the challenge that we started on Black Friday. So all of these are perks if you come in and partner with us and join for the 21-day home buying challenge.
All right, all right. So hurry up and register. The link will be in our comments below. And so join us. Join us on this 21-day challenge. We're excited to have you and excited to have the people that are already in the group. And so
Yes.
one more person will just be great for us
Or
and for
two,
you.
or three,
Or
or
three.
four.
All right. So thank you. We're here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. to talk to you about the home buying process. And
Yes.
if you're interested in selling your house, we give you some tips about selling as well. So be sure to join us at Water Cooler Wednesdays. My name is Dion Branch, and I can be reached at the number below. And Lisa,
That's me. Hey. And I can be reached at that number.
well, that number below. So come
Right.
on, join us. We're excited to have you. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.